All right. How's it going? We're gonna make an easy beef and vegetable dinner that I started experimenting with last night. And here's the recipe. The recipe is really this simple. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna show this recipe that I got from Modern. This recipe comes from a Mayflower Mother.
How Chinese takeaway make chicken?
Mayflower Mother is the name of the YouTube channel. Let's see, where's the beef one? Mayflower Mother beef, garlic chili beef. All right, so Mayflower Mother is the Facebook channel that we follow, or that I follow, Instagram channel that I use for this recipe. And how we're gonna do this? What we're gonna do? We're gonna go. This is the recipe right here, and this is it. You just put these items together in order, and you cook them, and you saute them, and it's supposed to be all turn out really nice and delicious. So I'm gonna have this over to the side. But one thing we need to happen wasn't really cleaned very well. One thing that we need to happen in order to do this is we have to make sure everything's clean so that there's no extraneous flavors or anything. And by extraneous, I mean like weird flavors. It's okay if it, if it's okay as long as it's clean and you don't get weird flavors and other things. There we go. So let's actually clean this off. What we want to start with is I want to saute a bunch of veggies together. So that's the first goal, is to saute a bunch of veggies. We're going to create a nice base. We're going to create a nice base for everything. Why is this all in here? We should have cleaned this last night. Let's get everything situated. Clean this off. Wipe this down. And it's a pretty simple, basic way to cook a recipe. Let me wipe my arms off. So let's start by just sauteing some veggies. So that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna saute here. Use some high heat. What's up? 123S. 123S. What's going on? So start with some bell peppers. What I want to do is I want to start with the veggies because I want to let the veggies flavors soak into this pot. So that's my goal, is to get veggie flavors to soak into this pot first. And then while we're doing that, while we're letting these veggies marinate, their flavors marinate. Let's see, these cook washed and ready to eat. That's exactly what we want. Washed and ready to eat broccoli. So we're gonna throw some of this broccoli in here. Probably chop it up a little bit. So throw some broccoli. We got about half of it left. Broccoli is really good for it. It's like a magical vegetable. So let's do that. Let's close that up. And what's another vegetable we could throw in here? We don't have any more vegetables to throw in there, do we? Oh yeah, onions, scallions, garlic. Onions, scallions, garlic. So let's throw some onions in here. And scallions. So we got a bag of frozen onions. Wow, I'm good. How do you know this is going to be good? Thank you for having your trust in me, even before I get started. But we're going to throw some onions in here just to, actually, you know what, a little bit more onions. A little bit more onions. You can never have enough onions to cook with. So we're going to let those cook, let the flavors get together. And let's see here. We're going to throw in our scallions and shallots into this mix. Let's turn on this heat, might as well. Get this heat going, nice and high. And then we're going to go, we got some shallots. Everything's frozen, so it's ready to go. We just got to toss this in. So, nice little batch of shallot. There we go, that's a good shallot right there. Let's get some more shallots, and any of these bulbous plants are just great for flavor. And I'm gonna throw in a little bit of our secret ingredient, which is throw in a little bit of our secret ingredient that you can't just get from the store. So this is olive oil, garlic cooked in olive oil. Oh, you know what? I should probably throw some garlic in there too. But I'm just gonna grab this, grab a nice big spoon, and spoon out like just a little handful here, just a little bit. Throw on top of our veggies. We'll just leave that like that for now. And while we're letting all this cook, while we're letting all this saute, we are going to cut up our meat. Before we do that, let's cut up our meat right now. Cut the meat. What's up? Job? I heard that you found a new job, some new purpose in your life. Congrats on that. You know, I haven't seen you and Dave today, so I was a little concerned, but then Omizu filled me in on the details. So I'm gonna let this all just saute for as long as it needs to. Let's just put it on medium for now. So basically what I want to do is get the fond. It's called fond. So when you cook vegetables and there's like this leftover, just beautiful golden brown texture on the pan, it's called fond. And basically you want those flavors. You want to savor those flavors. And instead of trying to spend too much time trying to do this, let's just saute this broccoli. We want the broccoli to cook nice right now. So we need to cut the beef. That's what we got to do right now. So we're going to cut this beef. What kind of beef am I using? Actually, you know what? Let me watch this. So what kind of beef am I using? Right, we're going to go right here. I got to watch this real quick, but let's wash this off. One of my friends has this philosophy: never trust a skinny chef. And I almost believe it. I almost agree. So let's throw this beef on here. We've actually been letting it sit in room temperature. We're going to get this, dump it out, and cut it up in nice slices here. You know what I should have done is I should have marinated it somehow for about 15 minutes. I forgot to do that again. Cornstarch, vinegar. You know what? Maybe I should somehow blanch this. But what do I need? I need like vinegar and salt. You know what? Forget it. Let's just salt this up and get started on smashing it. So I like to use this for, just go a little crazy. Let's try something different here. We're going to throw some soy sauce onto this platter right here. Let's get nice low, medium heat. Let's get a nice medium heat going on this. Get some salt going. Get some flavors into this beef right now. Actually, a little bit more soy sauce would probably help. We're just pouring directly on here. We're just going to go directly on. Let the beef just soak in all of the juices. Let's wipe our hands off. Get the salt in here. No, no more salt. We're out. We are totally out of salt. That salt, at least. Let's see. What are the salt? We have this. We got some handy salt. Ignotus has things to say that he wants us to hear. Wonderful. Now we're going to throw this salt onto here. Honestly, this salt might not stick because it's not very fine, but we're going to experiment with it anyway. This probably won't work. Should probably use a finer salt, but we'll work with whatever we got. Seasoning? Malibu all-purpose seasoning. This might work. Alright. Let's get a little platter to store all this on. Here we go. It's already starting to smell pretty good because take a look at this. Look at this. We've already got our vegetables going. The vegetables are looking okay. We're just going to stir and saute and just let it sit on a low heat for now. Let this all sit on a low heat. Keep our veggies moving a little bit just to get the flavors. Let the broccoli soften a little bit. Cook the broccoli. Turn that heat down even a little bit more just so we get the vegetables nice and sauteed. Onions tend to cook so fast because they just fall to the bottom because they're little particles, but the broccoli also needs to cook. So we're going to let this just simmer in the pot for a little bit. Let's put that right there. So let's cut our beef now. Nice and easy, right? We're just gonna cut our beef and start putting it up. I got this nice little knife sharpener, the knife with the sharpener, which comes in handy. I don't actually know how effective it is, but as far as the sharpener, I haven't really needed it as far as knowing how effective it is, like long term. But I'm sure it's good. So we're gonna want to start. Let me cut this into two big chunks. So I'm gonna do a nice big chunk against the grain here. It's a brisket, so it's got a nice fatty part on the other side. And honestly, I could probably cut this even further into an even smaller piece just to make it easier to slice when I'm doing it. Let's go even one more on this. So we're going to cut these into quarters and then halves. I mean, half and then quarters. And then we're just going to get nice slices of beef here. Nice thin slices is what we're aiming for. So this is the part of the job that takes the longest, is just getting your beef slice cut. Beef cut. Get the fat. There we go. Another slice right here. And let's keep this going. So we got those nice slices. We'll probably get a bunch of nice slices out of this. Let's go like that. There we go. I love beef, by the way. Beef is just an incredible dish, meat for food. So just cutting it, however, obviously streaming, so anytime you cook you want to be careful and not cut yourself, right? So I think that what helps a lot is just having a really sharp knife. I think that's just a general rule, is always have like a sharp knife. And if you're cutting, basically I think the trick is to You know, use your finger as a guard and just like cut like that, right? Along that side of your hand. So let's see, we can actually go, yeah, let's go again this way, right? Nice long pieces. See how our veggies are doing. Just don't want to overcook them. Really just want our broccoli to saute and get some of the flavors from the veggies. And that's doing okay. So here's the other thing that needs to happen. So these veggies are looking okay. We're gonna go and scoop this all out because we need to cook this all separate. So let's go like this. Put this right here. Alright. Oh, that is heavy. Let's see what's the best way to do this. Alright. Grab one of these things. And then just slowly scoop out whatever materials we have. You know, these vegetables are just for early cooking, so we don't have to, because sometimes vegetables cook uneven and it leaves like a lot of water texture. So I'm gonna need, you know, some extra time to heat up the beef and everything. So we're gonna do that real quick. Just let the flavors soak into here. And let's get back to cutting that beef right now. What's up, Tony? Got Tony and a bunch of other wonderful new letters. It's almost like everybody's just letters, right? Everybody in my life is letters. Letters on a computer screen. So just aiming to get a nice, like, thin cut. Thin cut of beef. As thin as I could get it without, you know, putting myself into any unnecessary cutting challenges. And who knows how long how long this knife lasts. It's got a sharpener in it, but you know, you never know. Never know with these things. And you know what? Let's go do side cuts like this. Cut it straight on the side. Get a slightly different cut here. Maybe cut down the fat this way. And these slices, I guess, could be a little thinner, but Loretta Jones, what's going on? How are you? How is Loretta Jones doing? The Loretta Jones. I do want to preserve these fat pieces, so I'm going to throw those to the side. Let's get a couple more pieces out of this slice right here. One more. There we go. So getting into this fat area right here, right? And just getting a nice little cut. Nice little slice. Some pieces, these pieces are going to be of varying lengths and widths. Honestly, I'm thinking of even getting another sharper knife because this knife is sharp, but I still feel like it could be sharper. Just getting some thin slices of beef. I think if I really wanted to, I should. If ideally you'd want to get it even thinner than that, but I'm not going to go for that. I'm going to let these little pieces of fat, these really fatty pieces, that might even be, yeah, I think that's fat. These fatty pieces, because sometimes I don't know the difference between the fat part and the, what's it called? Sometimes it's like tendon or cartilage or something. You know, you can know that definitely within the beef, it's usually fat, but these pieces at the end, I don't know if it's like a cartilage or some other substance that's attached to the cow. So here we go, and then get a couple little thin slices out of these little strips here. There we go. We got one nice big chunk left. How am I doing? Everybody should be good today, right? Is everybody doing good? I hope everybody's doing good. So we're actually going to cut from this side because it stays down on the surface much better from this angle. This kitchen has revived my my obsession with cooking. Hi, Manger Huz. Manger? So, Kate, how is the new job? We heard you got an exciting new venture working. That is amazing. Congratulations. Jobs are great. There you go. Some nice thin pieces of beef. We're just going to keep going with this cut here. A little bit further. You know what? Actually, let's cut off the fat. So we're going to cut off this side of the fat here. We're going to let this be part of the bundle, but we want it to have its own, you know, separate chunk so that we could just use it to cut the flavor, right? To add the flavors to our pan. So here we go. Just getting our slices nice and thin, nice thin slices. That's what we're going for. And all this great delicious beef is just coming in. You know, my next device that I want to see if I can find is just a good, like either what the best beef knife for cutting meats. That's a device I want to get. Obviously a type of knife, but I don't know what kind of knife. I think butcher, you know, this is a chef's knife. So I think this is a general purpose knife. But I would love to get like a solid meat knife and learn how to cut, how to sharpen. That'd be great. All right, one more cut and we should be good. That's not good, right? You don't want it slipping and sliding, so got to be a little bit more careful now with this last piece. Let's get this. All right, so here we go. Look at that. Do we need to cut any vegetables? I don't think we need to cut any more vegetables. We got our mushrooms. We got all this. Onions taste so good when they're caramelized. So we could probably just get started on cooking. Although, you know what? I do want to marinate this a little bit. Throw in a little bit of soy sauce and just kind of like mix it in here. We're going to have plenty of soy sauce to mix in later, but let's mix some flavors in right now while we got it. Alright, let's just mix some of these flavors here. Yes, we're using our bare hands. That's right. We are using our bare hands. This is not the way to keep your places clean, so I'm constantly washing my hands after, you know, touching meats and stuff. But you constantly gotta keep your hands washed. Alright, here we go. Keep your surfaces washed, keep your hands washed. And let's do this. We're gonna mold that all in there, get those flavors in, the meats mushed. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to smash them to make them more tenderize them, but I'll just have to work with it. Skip the step. All right, let's get this party started, shall we? So what we got now is I'm gonna get this baby going. So we're gonna get the stove and everything going. Broth that's cooking, and I'm gonna use this broth as water, and we're just gonna have like this delicious thing. But let me just check our. Let me hit. Ooh, what is that? Let us check our ingredients again. Got all these ingredients. Oh yeah, I should prep our rice first. Let me pull our rice out of here. So we can microwave it. We're gonna eat this beautiful meal with microwave rice. I know that's kind of inappropriate, but it's all right. What's up with this rice? I don't know why this rice was separated. That's why I'm smelling it, but I'm sure it's okay. If it was just put here. Alright, here we go. So we're gonna need a fan. It's gonna start getting pretty noisy. What's up, La Boo Boo? La Boo Boo's here. It's La Boo Boo. Alright, so now we just gotta follow this recipe, and that's it. So beef, then garlic chili, onion, pepper, mushroom, water, salt, MSG, sugar, potato starch, dark soy, sesame oil, Shaoxing wine. And that's it. That's all we gotta do from here. So first steps first. Let's get this on a nice heat power burner. Get this heat going. And we're just gonna throw this beef right in. Bam! Nice and easy. That's it. It's so easy and straightforward from here. Let's do this. Where's our mixer? So we're gonna use these vegetables for later. We're gonna dump these in a few moments. But we want to let everything else cook first. I think usually what you want to do is you want to get everything on a higher heat right away before you start cooking the beef, but I want to throw the beef in to start to capture some of the flavors of everything. I want it to, I want the beef to pick up some of the the veggie flavors that were in here. Let's see, what's our next step? Next we need the garlic and the chili. So we're gonna throw that. So once this beef is like, once the beef is pretty much has its like, looks cooked on all the surfaces, most of the surfaces, I'm gonna throw in our garlic and other veggies. Like just as this kind of starts to sear and everything, that's what we're gonna do. So the beef has already started scraping up some of the veggie juices. It's on a nice high heat here. So, you know, just using our wood spatula here to flip the meat, rotate it, get it cooked all the way around. There we go. How many times can I cook this dish before people are like, oh, let's cook something new? I wonder, right? But pretty straightforward, easy dish to make. I mean, this is something that I feel is like definitely got to be a staple of a meal. If you're gonna learn how to cook, you got to know how to cook. You know, a couple items that you could just throw together in an hour for a bunch of people, or whatever, right? The leftovers. But just look, you know, you see these pieces, the steak, all the beef pieces. I use the beef brisket to do this. So it's a, you don't need to see all that, right? So it's a beef brisket that I'm using, and you know, letting these flavors just meld in, letting the beef cook. There we go. And all these flavors just soak into our pan here. You know what? Now's a good time to add the garlic, so let's do that. We're gonna add garlic, and what's the other ingredient? Garlic. Let's see. Garlic and chili. Garlic and chili. So, try our garlic here. Here's our garlic. A nice little batch of frozen garlic and scallions. A lot of the water content is coming out of the beef. You know what, I want to empty out some of this liquid a little bit, because it's all like the, what, do I need to? I don't know. The instructions didn't say, so why don't we just stick with what we got here. Let's go like this. We got a nice chunk of garlic. Nice, let's go. Here, we're just going to throw that whole thing in there, alright? Garlic. The sauce, the same thing that we did yesterday. We're going to use kimchi, some good old kimchi here. We're going to dump our entire batch of kimchi into here. And that's going to be our spice. Probably a little too much, but you know what? Yesterday we had plenty. We did not have any leftover, which means today could use a little bit more food, right? If you don't have any leftover, that means you gotta cook more food, right? So let these chili flavors soak in. I have a little bit more meat, maybe like twice the meat that I had yesterday, and a little bit more kimchi. So let's get this flowing. Make sure that everything gets cooked through. veggies get nice and hot. So right now, let's let this sit for a second as the veggie cooks. You know what, I could also mix our rice up a little bit, stir our rice up just so it'll cook nice and evenly in the microwave. I know microwave rice with a freshly cooked meal doesn't really go well together, but we're just gonna do it. Because we can. Alright, let's stir this up a bit more. Get these juices all throughout, all throughout our meal. The kimchi, the chili, the veggies, garlic. Just start spreading all these flavors around. Get a nice big pot. Allow the beef to cook. And let's cover it. So we're going to cover it, and then we're going to plan our next few minutes or so. Let it simmer just for a few moments. And let's see. So what's next? We're going to throw these. We actually don't need to throw these veggies in here till later. But we are going to throw in some mushrooms. We're going to save our vegetables. You know what? I might throw them in next. So, and instead of water, I'm going to use a broth, which is going to be so good for this. It's going to be a beef bone broth that I prepared earlier. It's been soaking for a few hours now. But let's see. Let me think. Yeah, I should just throw the veggies in next and mushrooms. We need to do some mushrooms. So these are just some basic mushrooms. Sliced baby bella mushrooms. We're going to make this happen, alright? I'm going to slice them. They're already sliced. So just rinse them off. And we're going to toss them in. Dump them into here to rinse. We're not going to use this whole thing, just, half. I think half is good. There we go, there's half. Got the fridge right there. Rinse this off real quick. Pop this off and throw these mushrooms in there. Let's get these flavors going along, moving around. Here we go. Vegetables are sauteed, the mushrooms are cooking. The beef is starting to cook extra, which is great. Get this high heat wok. It helps to have this really high heat stove. I don't think I could have achieved this in my last kitchen because the stove really, it got hot, but it wasn't like this hot. So it helps that I have this extra hot wok right now. And let's throw these other veggies in that have already been cooked. So we're just gonna pile this in there. Pile all these veggies. Just let it all stir fry together. There we go. Alright. And here we go. Let the stir fry work. This might be a little too much, but you probably want to cook smaller portions if you're just cooking for one or two. But I really love to either have leftovers or just extra in case. So I cook with a bigger portion. and really just experimenting. I mean, this is a giant pot, but 3 of us finished all of it yesterday. So, what's up, GT? GT. What's going on, GT? How are you? It's been a minute. It's been a few minutes. Probably about 6,000 minutes since we've last chatted. 60,000 minutes. There's 3,600 minutes in a day. It's probably been about 10 days, so 36,000 minutes since we've had the opportunity to chat. Let's do Galaxy Trash. Here we go. All right, let's let that sit here, and then we'll figure out the next few steps that we got going on. So the next step looks like, once we get these vegetables and the mushrooms cooked, we want to add water. So instead of water, I'm going to throw in this bone broth. We're going to throw in some of this bone broth and let that be a base, which I hope will add a lot of extra flavor. And we need salt, MSG, sugar. Instead of sugar, I'm going to use honey. I'm going to add some miso, and then potato starch, which I have right here. And we're going to need some dark soy sauce, sesame oil, and Shaoxing wine. So, dark soy sauce, sesame oil, and Shaoxing wine. Let's get that Shaoxing wine ready, which we're almost out of. We gotta get some more soon. Alright, let's pop this off. Do a little bit of stirring. Stir the pot, stir the bin, get the different flavors moving. Get these ingredients mixed up here. These ingredients nice and mixed. And here we go. Nice, healthy. This is looking so healthy right now. Alright, so what do we do? Water, salt, MSG, sugar, potato, starch. So we're going to start with actually use a broth. So this is like a soup base that I made based on beef bone, and chicken bones. So we're actually going to take this broth and literally just scoop it and use this broth directly as our liquefier here. We're going to just take this and make it directly as our liquefier. Nice big batch of. That's going to be delicious, by the way. Alright, so we've got our broth going, and salt, MSG, sugar, potatoes, potato starch. Alright. So it's really liquidy. I hope that once I add the potato starch, it's going to be enough to really bring it down. But I'm sure it will. I'm sure everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to turn out perfectly. Let's go. We're going to bring this down. Bring this down, baby. Yeah, there we go. All right. Looking good. It's a nice pot. And what's going to make it less of a liquid and more of a sauce is going to be our potato starch. I think that's the secret. So I like to let it cook nice and hot, let all the ingredients sit, cover our thing back up. And now let's get the last of our ingredients in here, which will be salt and MSG. So, throw in some salt. Throw a nice big bundle of salt in there. Okay, that's a lot. Some MSG. Some sugar, so instead of sugar, I'm going to use honey. Some Shaoxing wine. Oh no, that's later. But I want to throw in some miso. So we're going to throw in some miso. Definitely going to throw in some miso here. Miso is like such a fantastic recognized ingredient. I'm gonna throw this down. There we go. Let's close this up and put it in the fridge. I could probably use a little bit more salt in MSG. Just a little bit. A little bit more salt. It's gonna already have a lot. Just that it's a bigger pot than the other night. So I want to let the, it's not too much MSG. I don't want to overload it. But definitely, you know, let these flavors come together. Let these flavors just soak, stir, mix, stir, mix, stir. I don't actually know how to handle a real wok. Like, I don't know how to flip and do all the tricks. But, you know, this should be enough, right? I think the boiling and the heat and everything is enough to just keep everything flowing along. And the fact that there's so much liquid in it is actually a good thing because it helps to not overcook anything, overcook any of the ingredients at once, which is great. So here we go. We're gonna let this cover for a minute and let that cover. And we're gonna put some of our ingredients away so we can chill. Put this away. Put our salt and that and this. Steak seasoning. And the goal is to make this taste even better than yesterday's. So let's find our next ingredient here. Our last ingredients are soy sauce, sesame oil. Oh wait, we need the potato starch. We totally forgot to throw in this potato starch. So I'm probably gonna need a lot of potato starch here. Let's scoop it out actually. I don't wanna. So the potato starch just helps the ingredients to like coagulate. Helps to coagulate everything. And hopefully, I'm trying to get my potato starch off, but let me just close this bag up. So this is just going to help to coagulate the, look at that, it's actually stuck. There we go, let's get this unstuck. Let's coagulate this. Coagulate the water, the liquids. It's amazing, like it's totally some form of chemistry magic, magical chemistry. When you use potato starch, and all of the liquids just start to like disappear. So after that, we need soy sauce, sesame oil, Shaoxing wine. I might even need more potato starch because I have such a big batch here, so many veggies and everything, that yeah, I need more. This needs a little bit more potato starch. Because it's such a big batch with so many extra veggies and liquid, it's going to need it. Alright, that should be enough. I'm not measuring things out. I guess the right word is to congeal. I want to congeal. Yes, Kate is the top fan right now. Kate is a top fan. Top fan Kate deserves a nice little crown. Here we go. So we're gonna let these sauces congeal. Let our liquid. I'm really fascinated by potato starch, by the way. Like, I never knew about this potato starch until I started just cooking recently. I'm gonna let this all kind of let the liquids congeal, the sauces kind of come together, and then I'm gonna add our finishing touches here. We're gonna throw soy sauce, sesame oil, Shaoxing wine. So soy sauce. Instead of sesame oil, we're going to use more of our garlic. Well, you know what? Let's use sesame oil. Our garlic oil has been used many times already. So we're going to throw in some sesame oil. Just a hint. And some Shaoxing wine. A couple tablespoons. So let's see. 1, 2. All right, there we go. Let's let that all cook and simmer here. Let's see what we finally come up with. So start to see all the sauces coming together. The potato starch really did a great job of helping to turn the sauce into a sauce, as opposed to, that's the secret, by the way. No one ever tells you that, right? If you've never cooked before, people will just tell you, hey, do you know potato starch is the secret to sauce? Like turning your soup from, or your liquid that you're cooking with from whatever it is, a soup to an actual sauce. No one tells you that. You don't know that until you actually start cooking, right? Oh, some of the potato starch is actually getting stuck on the food, which I don't like. You gotta separate it. So let's just keep stirring it. We're gonna stir it until we're happy with what we got. But we are almost done. We're almost done. It's not a good look though if your potato starch is still stuck to your food. It's not a good look, but if it does, it's an easy fix. Let's go ahead and clean that up right there. There we go. Let that all cook. We're going to turn the heat off, really. Just allow this to sit and simmer for the last few minutes. And that is it. That is the secret of our beef. I could just taste it and be like, hey, this is so delicious, but I don't think I need to do that because I've done it before. And if anybody has any questions, you know what? I do want to do a taste test because I can at least say like what I need to fix next time. I just feel like the taste test is so cliche, right? Like, no one's ever going to say that this tastes disgusting. I think the best determinant of what the flavor of your food is going to be, whether it's good or bad, is the mushroom. So let's cool this down. Yep. That's some good food. That's going to be amazing. Yep. Yesterday was a little bit more pungent, a little bit more sour. I think that was from the kimchi. But today it's a little bit more savory. It's a bit more of a savory flavor with more garlic. And I'm gonna look forward to eating this. But the mushroom just tastes so good. Probably could have used more mushrooms, but that's it. We're gonna eat now. So those of you that tuned in, thanks so much. But if you really need to know, let's go over this recipe again real quick. So what did I do? This is the basic step. These are the basic steps. Cook the beef, throw in garlic and chili, cook that. Then throw in your onion, pepper, mushrooms, then cook that. Then throw in some water, cook that. Salt, MSG, sugar, potato starch, cook that. Dark soy sauce, sesame oil, Shaoxing wine. And then what do you get? So I do want to credit who taught me how to do this. So I learned this from a Facebook page called Mayflower Mother Well. And this is what they're doing. Oh, I forgot to put the oil in. That's kind of goofy, right? Because it didn't list it, but I do need to put the oil in next time. But anyway, I should list that, actually. Oil. I mean, it's almost common sense that you should put oil, but anyway, I didn't. But it was already kind of oily from the veggies. And let's just go ahead and keep this pot moving while it's cooling down. And we're gonna enjoy our meal. So everybody here, thank you, and take care. Have a great day.